Okay guys, I had the pleasure of working with UniFormation before. They very kindly sent me out their GK2 printer quite a few years ago now, and I used that machine to death. It was, without a shadow of a doubt, the most reliable machine that I had. Whenever I needed to do a 3D printing video for like another company, they were like, hey, can you print off our models? It's quite a tight deadline. I want to get them painted up. I would always turn to the GK2 to print them because I knew without fail, I would get perfect prints every single time. It was genuinely that good. It definitely dominated the market for that tier of printer for the kind of the last season of printers. So when they came at me again and asked me would I like to try the GK3, well, that was a no-brainer. Now, I was under quite a short deadline for today's video as it is Black Friday and I really wanted to get the first video out for them today.
He didn't.
Because I thoroughly believe that this machine is incredible, and if you are thinking about getting into the 3D printing world and you are on the market for a printer, a GK3 is an absolutely fantastic choice, and on Black Friday they have an amazing promotional deal. So do not waste, do not dilly-dally, jump over to their website, check out those deals and see for yourself. I will be doing a more in-depth video later in December where I go into kind of specs and all that kind of mad stuff, and I do bigger prints and show you some of the crazy stuff. But what I've done to kind of facilitate today's time-sensitive video is I have 3D printed 2 greater Blight drones for my Death Guard army that I am super excited to get painted up and show you guys in today's video. So by the end of this video, you will see greater Blight drones painted up. You will see the quality of the prints, and then we'll go from there. So like I said, make sure you check out them. Links all down below. Let's dive in and get these awesome greater Blight drones painted up. Like I said in the beginning of this video, I shall be doing a second video on the GK3 where I talk about specs and I do a little bit more of an in-depth. But obviously I had a time crunch for this particular video, so I decided to go for a good old-fashioned print something awesome, show you the quality of the print, and then get it painted up. So this is the last kind of 8 or 9 minutes of the print of the double drone, the greater Blight drones for my Death Guard army. A model that I've wanted for so long, and unfortunately it has been either sold out on Games Workshop's website or officially removed from Games Workshop website now that they have the kind of plastic version of it. But I always wanted the resin one, and now I do finally have my hands on one. These are how the actual sculpts turned out, and I must say they look fantastic. I mean, a printer of this caliber, you will not find print lines on these parts. Doesn't matter what you do, doesn't matter if you put contrast or spray or anything on them, it will not reveal any print lines because there just isn't any. It's so perfect and it's so ready to paint. It's just glorious. I constructed both of these drones on my Twitch stream on Thursday evening, and then I started painting them on Friday in order to get them out for Black Friday. Now, unfortunately, that did not happen, even though I did say in the intro that's what my goal was. Unfortunately, we did not have enough time on Friday. It kind of ran away with us. So I'm finishing them up here on Monday. And then obviously we'll get the video out on Tuesday for you guys. So we missed the Black Friday sale deals for this particular machine, but I still think it's very much worth it. It's definitely a high-end machine that's giving you incredible results. And as you can see, I've already sprayed the models. This should reveal print lines if there is any, and I dare you to pause it and try and find a print line anywhere on these pieces. So after I got the models sprayed black and sprayed with a nice coat of grey cere, it was time to go on the process of getting them painted up. Another thing that would reveal print lines is of course throwing something like a contrast on it. That should settle into all the lines and recesses of a print of a kind of a more inferior machine and make them pop up, but there just isn't. So I very confidently went ahead with the Plague Bear Flesh contrast paint and applied it all over the armor panels of this beast. After this was done, we just needed to get the armor color to kind of pop up a little bit. So we went for a Death Guard green dry brush and then a Nurgling green dry brush. If you've been following my Death Guard videos, you'll know that these are the stages that I usually do with all of my pieces, but usually it's like a feathered, scratchy effect. But because the old Forge World sculpts have kind of so much texture already, and that kind of bumpy mottled effect that they have going on across their armor, the kind of scratchy edge highlight wouldn't work, and a dry brush seemed like the next logical choice because it will capture all those details and make it look really nice. After this was done, we very simply just moved on with a nice coat of a yellow glaze. Now I still have the Lamenter's yellow glaze from Games Workshop, a very nice glaze, but it's not available anymore, which is unfortunate. So you can just go over to Two Thin Coats and pick up their yellow glaze. I've already tested it. It's a perfect match and you'll get the exact result that I'm getting here from one piece to another. Now, obviously, I said at the beginning, I'm working on 2 of these drones and I'm working on 2 of these drones simultaneously. So you will get to see things like, I'm going to show you a side-by-side now of what this yellow glaze does to the green, which I think is such a cool thing to be able to do, have both of them together. Because it does just dramatically change how the green looks. This is what the yellow glaze does. You've got one on the left, which is quite dull and quite boring and not really what we want to see. And on the right, we have that disgusting, nurgling, toxic green color, which is exactly what I wanted and exactly what I achieved. Guilliman flesh was then brought in for all those disgusting fleshy parts hanging underneath the armor panels of this piece. You're going to go in and make sure you get all those details done with this. For certain details in Nurgle, I've started to go for a more distressed and worn and gross looking kind of a pinky red skin, really sore looking, as opposed to anything that looks like dead flesh or, you know, grays or green skin. I prefer having that actual bit of natural like skin to it, like it is a growth, but it's not doing so well. I think that really offsets the green and makes it look really cool. Obviously, when I started doing this video, I was expecting to get it all done in one day. So that's why you'll see certain times things like the base now has texture paste on it. So I threw that on early so it might have a chance to dry by the time we got to the end of the day. Didn't really matter, but you know, that was my genius forethinking. Right now we have Wildwood and we're painting all of the kind of propeller blades and interior of like the rotor system in with the dark brown color, because we're obviously going to be doing some rust in there later on, and brown is the base coat you want for that. After that, we have Arcadian flesh tone and we are going in for a first highlight on all of those kind of gooey sections. And as you can see, I'm going kind of slowly. I'm taking my time, fine pointed brush, and I'm really just working up all of those gross bits to highlight and make it all pop. From here, we're going to throw a Berserker Bloodshade all over those skin sections. This will add that kind of red soreness I talked about earlier. While that's drying, I'm going to throw a bunch of other base coats on, but we do have a final highlight for the skin to really make that pop. So like I said, while the Berserker Bloodshade is gone, we're just going to do the rest of the base coats across this model because there is a bunch of other details that still need a little bit of attention in order to get this guy finished. You can see how gross that skin looks now. Okay, so Black Templar was the first one used, and that is for all of the cabling. So there's obviously lots of pipes and cabling and stuff like that hanging down from this model. And I decided to just kind of take them out of the equation by just blocking them in with a black paint. Black contrast paint is great for that. I really wanted the attention to stay on the green and the skin. Therefore, I wasn't going to go for any crazy colors. No, you know, yellow and black chevron cables or anything like that. Just nice and simple and black. Lead Belcher was then brought in for some of the metallic sections. Obviously, there's like a bunch of barrels from his gun protruding out the front. There's a barrel for like the flamer section on the side. And then there's these banding bits where it looks like it's dug right into the flesh. The flesh is growing around and it's holding on all those armor panels. We block them in with silver as well. Balthazar Gold was then used for just a few other details. The banding that's holding on the flamer tank. One has a big Nurgle symbol on the kind of front of his dome. So we blocked that in with that color as well. And then any other bits and pieces you think. Obviously, this is going into my Death Guard army, and these colors are prevalent throughout my Death Guard army. All the trim on the Death Guard is done in this color. So keeping this color in this scheme matters. When all those other bits were blocked in, we just grabbed a nice brown tone shade and applied it over all those bits. All the black sections and all those metallic sections got hit with that, just to darken them down a little bit. Before we moved on to Kislev Flesh for that final highlight on the skin. And as you can see, I'm going to take my time and just do a very light highlight across that skin. And it really does make it pop. I really do like the effect and the look of this skin, especially next to all the other Death Guard sections, all that green, corrosion, brass and silver. I just think it looks really cool. And it does look like really sore, inflamed skin, which I think suits the theme of Nurgle just as well as if I'd done it like dead flesh or pox-ridden green flesh. I think it looks really cool. Please do let me know in the comments what you think of the skin tone that we achieved on this particular piece. Of course, dropping one of them is key. So as you can see, we are doing them both side by side, and you can see they're coming along very, very nicely. We've got a couple of steps left to do. First one, let's get that rust done on the kind of rotor section. So riser rust was the first one brought in, and all we're going to do is stipple this riser rust orange color all over those kind of brown sections. So as you can see, it's going to give you a really nice kind of a rich orange tone into that brown, which of course is super important. That's where that rust kind of style comes from. I'm using one of the Artist Opus stipple brushes or dry brushes. I use it for stippling quite a lot. And once you get it on, you can see how much of the brown is left behind and how much orange is left. Then all we simply do is dry brush that with a light coat of silver. Adds that kind of chipping effect to the edges. I'm sure if I had kept it on screen here at all, it would have made a lot more sense. That's totally fine. We have a couple of other details to go through. So for all of the eye lenses, I decided to block them in with a nice coat of a matte black. I went up with them with a couple of coats of red in the bottom right corner to act as a highlight. Very simple technique. And then obviously we're just going to go for kind of like a dot of white added into the top left to make it have that kind of that like eye effect. We need a bit of like a counter glow, if you will, that glint in the eye. All of my Death Guard once again have red eye lenses, so this will help it tie in with the rest of the army. And a bit of ard coat when that's all fully dry to make those eyes glow and look really cool. We really are coming up to the kind of end of this miniature now. We're just going to be starting to use some of the kind of effects paints. So we're going to go for Nilic Oxide first. And we're going to add this as a kind of bit of corrosion into all of that green armor panel. So anywhere where it looks like kind of acid melt and burn into that kind of the armor panels, you really can't see the pock marks on it. You just add a little bit of Nilic Oxide to make it look a little bit more worn and a little bit more corroded. We're going to be doing pretty much exactly the same technique, but we're going to be using Blood for the Blood God for it. And this is going to be on those same sections, anything that's kind of like eaten away and worn away, but this is going to be on the skin section. So there are bits which have kind of horrible holes and stuff in the skin. It looks horrible, looks gross. But I don't want it to look like this kind of worn flesh. I want it to actually look like it's bleeding and gross. So Blood for the Blood God is great. You just feed a little bit of that into those sores and it makes those details pop. And with that done, we will call these two Blight drones done. There is actually one more step. I didn't show it on camera. I didn't record it. I didn't know how I was going to do it. So I had to kind of figure it a little bit off camera. But I ended up using some kind of water gel effect to go down those kind of pre-made flying stands that I did. And then I add a lot of that green vomit ooze paint from Army Painter and painted it down to hide the flying stands. But this gave us our final result. Our two greater Blight drones are now fully painted and ready for the tabletop. Once again, super impressed by the prints from GK3. I will leave all the links down below for those machines if you want to go check them out yourself. And I do recommend you do. I definitely think they're worth your time and worth your money if you're getting into 3D printing or want to upgrade your current 3D printer to something with a little bit more kind of pep to it. This one will not disappoint. Thank you guys so much for sticking around to the end of this video. I really hope you enjoyed the result and the journey. I'll see you in the next one.